Good morning. Today is Friday, Zayin Adar Aleph, an auspicious day. We're in Teres Menachem Sefer Morim Tavshin Yud Aleph Tavshin Yud Beis. We are on page Reish Lamed Zayin at Ois Tes. We're in the middle of explaining, the Rebbe is in the middle of explaining here the difference in how one affects the manifestation of divine energy into the world.
Effects or effects?
Ask him where he was yesterday, first of all.
I've already listened.
Don't answer him until he tells you where he was
This is the
yesterday.
Shiur. Go ahead. Thanks for recording it.
Pleasure. The effects of how one affects with an A.
Yes.
The manifestation of divine energy into the world in Zman HaGolus, when things are not as they should be, when a person unfortunately doesn't serve Hashem as he should. If we need the whole Seder Ishtalshalus, starting from Chochmah Datzilis through the Midas Datzilis to Machshava Dibur Maisa, in order to bring down the Ein Sof into this world, which depends on Barossi. I created man, the numerical value of Barossi, the 613 mitzvahs. So what happens when things are out of line, as it were? So the Rebbe explained that there is, in those times, we have the idea of the emunah pshuta, the simple faith that a person has in Hashem, and he realizes that that he's linked in to the very essence of Hashem, since Oisius, since the letters are rooted in the very essence, as we mentioned before, in the Atzmas HaNefesh, or in Chochmah Ilah, right, going all the way back beyond Seder Ishtalshalos. Therefore, there is a method, an emergency method, as it were, which is or a Plan B method, which is the way things work in time of Golus, and that is that you start from the bottom, basically, meaning because of the Emunah Pshuta, which is rooted in the very essence, that causes the person, in fact, to behave the way he should, right? And that in turn, Hashem bestows from above the Chochmah Ilah aspect, the Midas aspect, and the Machshava and the Dibra aspect, until it comes down over here below. And in that way, as the Rebbe said, Mispal in Binen, one can daven and be answered just like at the time of the Beis Hamikdash, just like when there's revelation, just like as if things were in order. It's just it works in a slightly different method. And that's the difference between obvious miracles that are melubish in teva, and so on and so forth. That was basically what the Rebbe was explaining until now. Now the Rebbe comes back to the idea of Purim, the celebration of Purim continuing even after Mashiach comes. Celebrating Purim will continue and be relevant even after Mashiach comes, whereas the other festivals will not. What's the point that Rebbe made over here? That in the usual order of things, you go through Seder Ishtalshalos in the normal way. In Zman HaGolus, you have a way, or rather in Purim in particular, you have a way of rising beyond Seder Ishtalshalos, right? And through that, drawing things down into Seder Ishtalshalos. That ties in with the reason why Purim will be celebrated even when Mashiach comes. The others will also be celebrated when Mashiach comes. But there's a particular emphasis on Purim because it says Purim will not become bottle. And as the Rebbe explained, the others, what does it mean it won't become bottle? The others will also be celebrated, but they'll be b'chinas bittul. They'll be like a candle in the sun. Whereas Purim will still have meaning. Ois Tes, page Reish Lamed Zayin. Balpisa Yuvan, according to this, we will understand. Masha Omr Razal, that which our sages say. Kol az hamoedim asidim lebatel chutz mimei Purim. All festivals are bound to be bottle, annulled, besides or nullified. Besides the days of Purim, the hinei inyan hamoedim, for the concept of festivals kosher inyan hamidas, is connected with the idea of the emotional, divine, celestial attributes. Shezehu inyanam shel gimel avis, because we know that this is the concept as represented in the three forefathers. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Kedisa b'medrash, as the medrash explains, shechag hamatzos u'keneged Avraham, that we celebrate Pesach, Hag HaMatzos, the festival of the matzos, because it represents Avraham. She'amar, who said, when the angels came to visit him, Mahari, he said to Sarah, quickly, shleish se'im kemach selis, prepare 3 saw measure of fine flour. Lushivasi ugais, knead with a K and make dough. Why? What was this? He asked her to make matzahs, because the Medrash says it was on Pesach. Shavuos represents Yitzchak. The Rebbe doesn't explain why, but one of the reasons, one of the ways we see it is that the sound, the shofar that was sounded at Matan Torah, when Hashem gave the Torah, was the horn that was taken from the ram that was brought onto the altar in place of whom? Of Yitzchak at the Akedah. The Sukkos u'keneged Yaakov. Sukkos represents Yaakov. The Ksiv Bei, concerning whom it says, V'Yaakov nosa Sukkosa. After he leaves Esav, his brother, it says Yaakov traveled to Sukkos, and he built a home for himself, and for his cattle he made Sukkos. So we see there is a connection between Yaakov and Sukkos. In fact, in Halach and other places, it's tied in with the fact that Avraham, in the festivals, Pesach is Shachris, because it's in the beginning of the bright season, it's in the spring. Shavuos is in the beginning of the summer, which represents noon, Tzarayim, and Sukkot is represented in the autumn, is celebrated in the autumn, which is the beginning of the night, right? So Avraham instituted Shachris, the Tefillah of Shachris, Yitzchak instituted the Tefillah of Mincha, and Yaakov instituted the Tefillah of Ma'ariv. There are a number of correlations between Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, and so on and so forth. So the bottom line is they represent the Midas, and we know Pesach is the idea of Chesed, Shavuos is the idea of Gvura, Sukkot is the idea of Tiferes, and this is represented in the three Avos, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, right? So in other words, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov denote the Midas, the Atzilus, the celestial attributes of Atzilus, the emotional celestial attributes. However, in other words, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov denote Seder Hishtalshalos, right? The chain order of creation. Divine revelation, manifestation, in the usual way through the chain order of creation. However, in the time to come, when there will be revelations from beyond the chain order of creation, there will be no need for the intermediary of the midas, of the celestial, emotional, divine attributes, whose function it is to shrink down, to contract, and to draw down all matters in measure and limitation of the chain order of creation. So in the time to come, this will be unnecessary. Why? Because concerning the time to come, it is written in Yeshaya, your master will no longer hide himself with the edge of his garment, like as if you're lifting something and you're blocking yourself with the garment. So your master will no longer conceal himself in that way. And your eyes will see your master. What does that mean? That we'll have Gilei Lakus. The general way of serving Hashem at that time will be in a manner of seeing, sight. Chochma ilah is considered re'iyah. When you say re'iyah, it's ein haseichel, that the mind's eye sees. You see. That is a reference to Chochma ilah, the highest level of Chochma. But not only will we see godliness with our mind's eye, but there will be re'iyah salakus, the seeing godliness, afilu bein habasar, even with the eye of flesh. As it says in Yeshaya again, ki ayin ba'ayin yiru, because eye to eye we will see. We also say it in the after B'rich Shmei when we take the Sefer Torah on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Therefore, since the revelations then will be from in a way of sight, then all matters that are intermediaries between the Ein Sof and the bottom line, as it were, will have no more meaning. Because they're related to what? To the means that the midas, the celestial emotional attributes, represent. In more detail, so the festivals of that which the festivals of Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot represent, they'll be like a candle in the sunlight. Relative to the revelation of your master not concealing himself any longer, but rather seeing Hashem. But this is not the case concerning the festival of the Yemei Purim, of the days of Purim, which we celebrate in the time of exile. Yisrael lo yakirenu. When it was a time of concealment, when the midas, the emotional celestial attributes, as mentioned before, could not defend the Jewish people. What does that mean? They could not bring the manifestations from Ein Sof down below because there was a deficiency in what? In the barossi, in that which triggers them, in man's service of Hashem, which would trigger them to draw it down. So they weren't able to do that. And what happened? And the Yidden linked into Hashem nonetheless. Why indeed did Hashem then bring salvation to the Jewish people during the days of Purim? Because this was as a result of this emanated from Ki'ato Avinu, from Hashem himself, from beyond the Shtalshalos. Hainu. What does it mean? What were the dynamics? For the Jewish people stood then in a state of self-sacrifice and in a state of simple faith in Hashem for almost an entire year, and not even a single person had any foreign contemplation for that entire duration, but rather was completely focused on his commitment to Hashem, which means for although among the Jewish people then they were from all types of Jews, and in all types of situations and conditions and situations in the spiritual sense, there were also those who had pleasure who partook and had pleasure from the feast of Achashverosh, or from those that bowed to the idol, as the opinions are in the Gemara. The Gemara over there says that the Talmidim of Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, there was a discussion with Rab Shimon Bar Yochai and his Talmidim. Why did Hashem decree annihilation of the Jewish people in the times of Purim? So they asked him. So he said, because they had pleasure from Achashverosh's meal. So they said to him, they retorted and said, they came back. I don't remember the Gemara exactly now, but they came back and asked him a question that that's a problematic answer, and they came back with another answer, say that they bowed down to the idols in the time of Nebuchadnezzar. But be that as it may, there are different reasons. So, but the bottom line, the point that I was pointing out over here is that there were different types of Jews, even Jews who were at such a low level, and nevertheless, for that almost entire year, they all stood in a mode of simple faith and total commitment. So in other words, they revealed from within themselves something which is totally beyond. They've changed immeasurably and almost in a limitless way, leaping from one extreme to the other. And these Yidden, that's why the Yidden, the Bnei Yisrael, are referred to in the Megillah as what? Yehudim. What does Yehudi mean? When you call a Jew has many different names. Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael, Am Yisrael. What's Yehudi? Why Yehudi? Because it's not only a reference to those that stem from the tribe of Yehuda, which is also a discussion in the Gemara, in the Megillah, concerning Mordechai. He was called Ishimini, right? He was from Binyamin. Nevertheless, you call him Ish Yehudi. So the Gemara says he was from Binyamin or he was from Yehuda. There was a discussion. Why is he called with these names? So the Gemara says, well, irrespective of where the Yidden came from, whether they were from the tribe of Yehuda or any other tribe, they're all referred to in the Megillah as Yehudim. Why? Ki Yehudi who? The Gemara says, why was Mordechai, and therefore all the Yidden called Yehudi, because they denied the validity of idolatry. And the Gemara says, whoever denies idolatry, it's considered as if he admits the validity of the entire Torah. So it came. Top of page they all stood in this mode. That's why they are all called with the name Yehudim. And this mode, this demeanor, was drawn down into them. How did they gain this commitment? It was brought into them. They were affected and they were influenced. Through Mordechai. Shenikra Ish Yehudi was called Ish Yehudi, not only Yehudi, not only Yehudi, a Jew, but Ish Yehudi, a Jewish man. What does Ishi mean? Shepirush Sar Shel B'chinas Yehudi. He was the master of the this phenomenon of being a Yehudi. By Ish Harabayis, there's a Mishnah in Midas where it talks about what went on the Temple Mount. So there was a person who was in charge of Temple Mount, and he had to do certain rounds. So the Mishnah refers to him as Ish Harabayis, the man of Temple Mount. What does that mean? The one that's in charge. Shepirushi Sar Harabayis. It means the master of Temple Mount. Ishi Kohen Gadol. Also in Masechta Yuma, it says over there that the Kohen Gadol had to be up all night, and if he would fall asleep, they would have to do all sorts of things to address him and to keep him awake. So they would refer to him as Ishi Kohen Gadol, my man, the Kohen Gadol. What does it mean? Our master Kohen Gadol. It's like Sir Kohen Gadol. Shu Lashon Gadol Susrara, which is from the expression of greatness and rulership. The Hainu, so Mordechai, who was called Ish Yehudi, he was the master of this idea of Yehudi, and he influenced all the Jewish people to be in the mode of Yehudi, of what? Being totally committed to Hashem. Which means that Mordechai, who was the general soul of that generation, Kedisa b'Medrash, as it says in Medrash. The Medrash says that Mordechai in his generation is like Moshe in his generation, from this pasuk, Ish Yehudi. So the Medrash says, Ish, Mordechai b'Doirei. Mordechai in his generation was like Moshe b'Doirei. Like Moshe in his generation, because Moshe also says, Ish, Ish Moshe. So that's the comparison. So he, Kibbutz, it's called Bnei Yisrael, he was the one that gathered all the Jewish people, Lachtos Amitis, the true unity, and he affected them that it should be in a revealed way. They should be in a state of total commitment to Hashem for the entire year. That they should have this denial in idolatry, and the acceptance and the admittance in the entire Torah. When the Jewish people stood in this mode for the entire year, why an entire year? Because in all the changes that are represented in the yearly cycle, they drew down and they permeated it with this idea of oneness. So therefore, without paying attention to their situation and condition in all other matters, they had this essential bond with this aspect of Ata Avinu, with Hashem's very essence. That's why Hashem brought them salvation. Why? Because they drew down from that level which is beyond the Ishtalshalos, beyond the chain order of creation. Therefore, also in the time to come, when Hashem will not hide himself any longer, but we will have revelations from beyond the chain order of creation. What will be like a candle in the sunlight, will only be what? The festivals. Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. Why? Because they are with a measure and with a limit. They are related to what? To say the Ishtalshalos, the chain order of creation. Which is not the case concerning the days of Purim. In which the Jewish people then stood down below here in a mode of total dedication in actual fact. Which means down here below they managed to find that beyond limit and beyond boundary. Even down here below, and through this they drew down from above this mode of Hashem in return of Ki'at Avinu, you are our Father, meaning to say Hashem's revelation from beyond the chain order of creation, which is beyond Avraham and also beyond Yisrael, which are the Midas of Atzilus. Therefore, this concept, this idea will not become nullified even in the time to come when Mashiach comes. Why? Because indeed, this coincides directly with the revelations that will be when Mashiach will come. And for this reason, even in our time, in the time of exile, the Rebbe asked, why is there such a difference between the joy of all the other festivals in Purim, where Purim you go completely beyond any limits, and all the other festivals there is a limit. The difference is the joy of the other festivals, since their idea is to draw down matters into the chain order of creation. Therefore, there are certain limitations and boundaries concerning the joy. He shouldn't drink too much wine, etc. Not so, this is not the case concerning the days of Purim, although they are permitted days when you're permitted to do work, and they are weekdays. It's specifically on them that a person is obligated to celebrate without any limit. The joy has to be to such an extent that it goes beyond intellect, beyond rationality, the revealed rationality. Why? Because since at the time of the decree, the Bnei Yisrael stood in this mode for the entire year. Therefore, the redemption in Purim was also their salvation in Purim was also in such a mode. They tied themselves and they were both connected to the aspects which are beyond the chain order of creation. Therefore, the celebration of Purim correspondingly is also in such a way that it's beyond all limitation. So the Eibishter help in all these things should come down by Poil, and hopefully we will finish the Maimer Mitzvah Hashem on Sunday, and then we will move on to Shabbos Mevorchim Achedesh Nissen.